All right, we're live there. We're live there. Let me get this one. And there's YouTube. All right, I'm gonna play the intro and then we'll be right back.
Okie dokie.
Give people time to come in so we can get our jokes ready.
They'll have to be spontaneous because I can't think of any at the moment.
I know, I'm in the same boat. All right, here we go. Hi, everybody. We got Dr. Joe in the house. Let me just get everything set up over here. And I took some extra time off because we had quite the little, what do you call that? It was like a mini apocalypse last week. It's like a mini apocalypse. I thought I was going to delete my organic body from the face of the earth. And if I didn't, I figured Morgan would. So, but
I think there's lots of people going through that sort of stuff at the moment.
Sure
because
is.
they did promise us, didn't they? They did say that this great big shift, this great cleansing would bring up all sorts of emotions and buried stuff that we thought we'd neatly dealt with.
Well, I was just trying to get everything set up over here, and I thought I was going to have to pull up Facebook on my phone because the computer wasn't coming through. But anyway, so when I clicked it on, my dear beloved sister Maureen Moss, she used to she founded and operated Puja Network, which was about a 10-year enterprise that was kind of like a Soulju without the videos. But anyway, I saw this post she just put up an hour ago. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the very first part of it, it says, "When all hell breaks loose." There has been a great deal of foretellings about this month of August. One astrologer called it the month hell breaks loose. This is what I know for sure. And then she goes on to write some great commentary, I'm sure, as she always does. But yeah, man, I don't know what to say about it. You look good though. You look tanned. I know you've been swimming with a lot of half-naked men in some river or stream or something. I saw that.
It wasn't a stream, it was a river. It's one of the fourth most dangerous rivers in the world. You know me, I need excitement in my life because most of the time I'm bored shitless, to be honest with you.
So is it like dangerous because it's like infested with crocodiles and alligators
It's
and
infested
snakes?
with great big lion's manes jellyfish, right? That are sort of a distant cousin to the Portuguese woman of war or man of war.
Are you serious?
Yeah, serious, serious.
In
And
a
I always do
river?
it in what they call skins. I have a skimpy set of Speedos that I put on.
Yeah,
And
I
all these other
noticed that.
wimps are in like full suits, thinking that they're real dolphins and stuff like that. But really, they're just like little sort of wimpy mermaids, really.
Well, I have to say, I was very excited to see that post. And really, first of all, I think that's great what you did. I think it's fantastic. Second of all, I'm glad to see your man boobs have gotten bigger than mine. So
Yeah.
that made me
They,
feel
they
good.
haven't because since this lockdown phenomenon, I've lost 20 pounds in weight, and
Is that right?
I'm starting to get toned, a bit like an Adonis. You know what I mean? It's like a distant memory to me, but I can feel its resonance.
Well, have you really lost 20 pounds?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I've
That's
changed.
pretty.
I mean, I got a real big it was coming for a while, but you know, I've completely changed my diet. You know, I've gone really sort of low GI or very low carb.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I'm eating more protein. I'm hardly eating any meat at all now. You know, if I do have any meat, it's just I haven't had any red meat for a long time. Now,
Yeah.
this is happening to me. It's not something that I'm conjuring up through
Yeah,
my
yeah.
ego, you know, guided by some sort of external pressure. Because I've let go of all that now, that external moral code that I've
Yeah.
swallowed all my life. And I'm more and more um, you know, relying on in this internal moral compass, which is my soul. I know that that's my soul, you know, and the soul has been sort of piling in because, you know, the soul isn't in us, is it? I don't believe this. The soul's not in us. We're in the soul because it's much more, it's bigger than us. It's the
Yeah.
expanse of the universe itself. Although it does have its own soul preferences, otherwise we'd all be the same in the soul, going for the same goal, and that wouldn't make sense to me, you know. So I think that each individual soul has its own specific resonance or vibration or frequency that's got
Yeah.
a purpose associated with it. And I think it's all like we've got different instruments and we're all
Yeah.
playing different instruments in this huge orchestra of life. And it's like we're being retuned now by the great conductor. That's how I sort of see it. And how do you do that? Pay attention to the great conductor. And I think
Yeah.
that's the feeling that's coming through as well. It's certainly the feeling coming through me. This last few weeks has been so powerful. And I've been sharing on my post, you know, me tongue in cheek. You know, I always have to throw a little joke in. I've been so misinterpreted by some people. Todd, I was running the other day because that's where I that's where I get most of my inspiration from. And I was saying I'm getting this big train of thought coming in. It's Joe, you need to set up a new website. So I said to the universe, well, what sort of website? Call it conspiracytheoristsunite.com. And I thought, well, I can't say that. That's like, he said, no, it's a tongue-in-cheek thing. It's for anybody who's ever felt ridiculed or laughed at for thinking out of the box.
Yeah.
Anybody who's had ideas, right, that run contrary to common sense and general public opinion. And that my heart was bursting with this, you know. And it's a site, right, that actually people who've got reasonable sort of sensible ideas on how the world should be run, right? It's about people to sort of contribute to that, you know. Anyway, I put this post up, and somebody really chucked a bad criticism in at me. You know,
Is that right?
yeah, they said first of all, you shouldn't be saying things like conspiracy theorists because that strengthens the case for the CIA. And I thought, well, hang on a second. I've got nothing to do with the CIA, you know. So I was really being told off. So my reply was, because I get this feeling, you know, and I couldn't give a shit what anybody else thinks, you know, because if I'm working from my internal moral compass, I have to listen to that and be true to that. Todd, even if it's wrong, I still have to be true to the
Yeah.
feelings and the flow that's coming through to me, you know, because that's who I am. Anyway, I replied with, I don't resonate with that, right? It wasn't like Broder, you know, who put the FU finger up or anything. The old Joe would have done that, you know. But I thought, no, fair enough. That person's got their idea, but they've been a bit rude in trying to tell me how to think. So I'll just put, I don't resonate with that. Anyway, I got some more spiel back, right? And I just put, you know, I sent them love, you know, because that's what I do. It was a bit tongue in cheek, like, but, you know, I sent them love. And the reply was, right, once a knobhead, always a knobhead.
What? Once a what?
There's something like once a knobhead, always a knobhead, or something like that, you know. Well, it just makes me howl, you see, because,
Yeah.
you know, people are entitled to their opinions, right? You
Yeah.
know, and it's the way I take these things, you know, and the people around me were infuriated by it. They wanted to jump on and, you know,
Yeah.
say, hey, don't you speak to him like that because, you know, and all that. Anyway, the point about I'm trying to make is, right, I can sense most of the time where people are in their level of emotional reactivity, you know, and it's almost as if this person was trying to tar me with the same brush that she was using on herself, you know, and I see that. So
Of
my
course.
view is now is I'm not here to fight anybody or anything. I'm just here to try and find the joy of my own living and to try
That's
and
it.
radiate that, you know. And
That's
I
it.
do a lot of stuff tongue in cheek. It's never, ever, ever meant to harm anybody. It's for fun, you know.
Yeah.
And if people can't read between the lines and see the fun in it, right, then that's where they are, and that's what
Yeah.
I'm up to. You know. But I
Well,
don't know
that's the
what you think
thing.
about that.
Well, I think a lot of things about it. You said a lot of things. First of all, I have to give respect to the last, what, 10 days? Last week, like was an MFER. All right. Everywhere I went, people are upside down. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Again, we're processing these things quickly, all of us, and I think we're doing a hell of a job. But I do have to say that was a quite incredible last week, and I'm sure this week and this month are going to be bigger and better and more explosive and expansive than the last few months. Okay, so on the subject of, I love the the idea of course, the walking or the running communion, and I have total respect for that because that's how I got here, and I know it works. It's not, there's a lot of different ways up the mountain, as Morgan says, but I like the intel that you got. I like the tongue in cheek and the double entendre with the website name, because one thing I've learned, and I've noticed this is a name draws a lot of people. It draws a lot of people. And really, social media is about, if you have a message and you're trying to get something out, I don't know what's wrong with my camera, but it doesn't matter. And if you're trying to get something out, you've got to bring, people into the circus tent. You got to bring traffic in. And a great name like that is a great way to do that. I've seen groups that have come up with a great name and have 100,000 people in it in 6 months. We just hit, I think 30,000 in the Soulspeaks group after 9 years. There's another 50,000, but I'm just saying that I love the name that you were given. As far as people responding, I think I've told you this before, but it was probably 2-3 years ago. I kept hearing, because I used to field every single comment in the spirit of building awareness and keeping the algorithms up and everything, several different objectives with that intention. And then I just got to the point where I can't answer any of them. And it started with the people that were antagonistic. And I realized how damaging it was to me. I'm not saying what you did was damaging to you. I'm just giving you my 2 cents. But I just got to the point where I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to answer any of them, because just let it ride. And I think that's kind of where I'm at with this whole thing now too, because what I keep seeing, and it's been coming in, and I can't really put it together in my head on a linear basis or in a sequential manner, but I know over the last few weeks, talking to different people on the show, different experiences, this whole thing about, and I hate to sound cliche or anything, but like live and let live. Like whatever somebody's doing, okay, God, this is the first show of 20 this week, so I don't want to start dropping F-bombs yet. But like, when you see somebody doing something, it's none of your fucking business, okay? Period. It's none of your fucking business. And if you're sticking your nose in it in any way, energetically, overtly, covertly, in your thoughts, whatever, it's all on you, man. It's not on that person. We've all had a hard enough time getting to a point where we can actually have enough confidence to express ourselves and get past the embarrassment and the shyness and the insecurities. By God, if somebody's going to put something out there, have a little respect, even if it's something you don't agree with. All you got to do is turn the page. I'm noticing, to your point, and I'll pass it back over to you, but I'm noticing quite a few people, prominent people, that I'm not resonating with anymore. I've talked about it. I'm tired of beating a dead horse. I'm tired of, I don't need to be told what the hell's going on in this world. And I think most people know what the hell's going on in this world. But that's the story. What's the reason behind all these narratives? It's the same old thing. The dog chasing its tail. It's about us. I am soul. But I guess, to conclude it, if somebody's going to do something, understand that they're equal to you. I'm equal to them. They're equal to me. I'm no better and I'm no worse. The minute I start to throw rocks at them, the minute I start to judge them, I'm speaking to myself. I become the separation. And I think this is what we're figuring out. And I think the universe is helping us, because it's not allowing anything to stick that's not real. And judgment's not real. Illusion's not real. Superiority's not real. Bullshit's not real. And I think a lot of us are starting to eat some humble pie. So I don't really have an answer for how you take on the energies like that. I think there's obviously more than one way. I don't answer them. I really don't. I can tell you this, Dr. Joe. There's been many times, like say once a week for the last 18 months, that I've written something and I'll write it and I'll be like, and then I won't push it, but I don't know.
See, I've done this person a disservice. She didn't call me a knobhead. She called me a tool. She said, once a tool, always a tool. Now, I've got a toolbox and there's a spanner in there to fit any nut. And so, this thing about just observing, though, you see, there's a thing, because I'm out at the fight, Todd, and I have been for a long, long time. I've been sitting outside looking at the boxing ring and seeing what's going on, But the point about it is, fighting it's how one engages with it. If I engage emotionally with it, I've just taken the bait and I've just jumped back into the boxing ring, And they say, if you don't want to fight, don't get into the boxing ring, And I see what we're going through now is every trigger, every emotional tug is just an opportunity for us to step back and feel our way through that particular obstruction, because I think that obstruction will be directly related to an action or a judgment from the past that we didn't take the right action on. And I think that we've got an opportunity now to go back and clean up our own act, guided by our internal moral compass. Call that your intuition, call that soul guidance, call it spirit, call it God, call it what you like, it doesn't matter. But the point about it is now, I know that if I'm becoming more and more and more sensitive to my body's reactions and sensations, to energies, more and more subtle energies, sometimes the light's too bright and I can't handle it. Sometimes sound is just too, and I've just got to get away and allow myself to settle down in this new sensitivity. That's where I'm up to. And Todd, I make a laugh and a joke, and I don't really care what anybody calls me, because you know what I think about me has become more important than what everybody else thinks about me. And that was one of the greatest big switches around. I laugh and joke a lot, but I can be the most serious man on the planet. Part of my soul's purpose, as you know, is Heyoka spirit. It's the joker who can see and read between the lines and chuck a little thing in just to try and induce a bit of lightheartedness, And what I've also learned is, Todd, children take things literally. They can't read between the lines. That means they can't make meaning of metaphor. So they hang on to the words that are said, and they end up arguing about the words that are being used.
Yes.
And that's where, and this is deep, clean language, and I don't mean not swearing, but clean language is to make meaning of metaphor, And a lot of people, when they're in fight or flight, therefore they're in the fight, they've emotionally engaged with something that's instinctually represents a threat to them. So now they can't see clearly because they're on the defensive, and they're either going to be a victim child who wants to run away, or they're going to be the bully who wants to fight. Both of those things, pride and fear, close our hearts, right, and put us on the defensive. How do I know? Because I've trod every single step of that, Todd. And I
Yeah.
know what it feels like, you know. So Dr. Joe's on one again tonight, you know, he doesn't feel like joking, but this is serious. What we're going through now is a really, really difficult time in mankind, you know. And I feel that I've got a message to pass. And the message is, I've been there in a similar situation. This is what I did. I don't know whether this will work for you, but this is what I did, and this is what's happened to me. And one thing I've learned is what I do today, Todd, might be exactly opposite of what I need to do tomorrow. So I can't put any limits on it. I can't say that every time that happens, I'm going to say this, because from one breath to the next, I don't know what action to take. Just let me finish on this while it's in my mind. Right.
You're good.
Talking about action. Sometimes I get inspired to take actions, right, in certain circumstances. And I think I can't say to myself, oh, I'm just going to observe now and not take part in anything. Because for me, I believe that if spirit wants to move me in a certain situation for the benefit and the good of all, including myself, then I'll get moved. And Todd, I get moved a lot by stuff, you know. There's sometimes when I can be walking along and suddenly I get a feeling and it almost like turns me completely to the left. And it makes me look in a certain direction, and I see then exactly what they're trying to get at. The other thing is they are me and I am them, because where I've come to now, it's almost like I've expanded in some sort of way, and I'm incorporating every single aspect that the universe has to offer. I don't see anything outside of myself anymore. I don't see any separation between masculine and feminine. In fact, I'm a bit bored with the sacred feminines having a go and the masculine will be up next week and all that. I've got, that's all left me now. I don't know whether I'm making sense, mate, but you know, it's almost like this unification thing's happened to me, and I am who I am. End of story.
Yeah. Yeah, you said a lot there, man. You know, um, something big has happened. I know we talked since June 1st. I know that because I remember talking about it. But I've been, for me, June 1st, everything shifted. I don't know how to explain that. I know we say that a lot, but to me, everything just looked different. I mean, everything was just being processed different. I was seeing things, hearing things, and it's just continued to expand. And one of the things that you just brought up uh, I guess, grappled with the last few weeks um, was the whole masculine feminine thing. And the reason was because beginning in June, and I guess what would be June and July, there was a lot of masculine distorted energy, including my own, that was just like flailing, like you know, you know, thrown into a river and trying to, you know, you're just dog paddling to stay afloat. I saw it in both feminine and masculine, males and females, and I started to use the term patriarchal instead of, you know, and citing it as a patriarchal imprint upon a man or a woman and what that does, and all the different characteristics of you know, the imprint. But I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on. What I do know is there does seem to be a very evident expansion, a wholeness, a completion of the availability of the pure divine goddess feminine energy. And as a result, there seems to be a surge of the true divine masculine energy. And we're talking energy here. This is affecting all people. It's affecting the things that we're seeing on the global stage. There's been quite a few people that, you know, have been presented to me, you know, in conversations with Morgan, her own words, other people that are writing the same thing, mostly women, talking about the struggle that the masculine's having at this point. And again, that could affect all of us, regardless of our physical gender. But I think it's a real issue because this whole thing with all the false power going away is going to go a lot deeper than I think any of us ever thought. You know, we think about our own roles, we think about, you know, our own experiences, but if you look at what's happening globally, this is mass destruction of the of the patriarchal. It's mass destruction of the patriarchal, which which their primary vehicle of operation was a distorted masculine personality, be it a male or a female. So this is going to create a lot of confusion and a lot of imbalance. But on the other side of it, I think there's a strong minority in this community, in this world, that has figured out that no matter what the hell's going on out there, we can be the eye of the hurricane. We can be a pillar of light. We can keep our shit together. And that may sound like it has a nominal influence on the collective, if any at all, but that's not true. It has an equal impact of any singular energy into the realm, into the grid. Each one of us can change this whole world. And I think enough of us have figured out that no matter what's going on, relationship, family, job, where you're living, how much money you have, what's going on the global stage with Q, Trump, spaceships landing, Russians, whatever the case is, that if we just focus on ourselves and keep ourselves in the best alignment possible in a given moment, it doesn't mean we're going to be, cruising along and putting our feet up on the desk and nothing's going to happen. But it doesn't mean that we're going to be devastated and maligned and thrown off the path and hitting rock bottom anymore. We actually have the momentum, and the momentum is sustained and expanded through the individual's own responsibility and efficiency in keeping their self in alignment. And to me, that's great news, because there's a lot of people that are actually making that happen.
Fantastic, mate. Exactly same place. I can see that as clear. What I see is the situations that are arising externally are tests to see if we can keep our heart open and flowing, because that's our responsibility. I feel that lightheartedness, and I don't mean stupidity, I mean an open and flowing light heart will keep the energy. This is the energetic heart I'm talking about here. Yeah. So everything, right? It's the ego that is under attack or perceptually under attack that causes the fight or flight, that closes down the heart. It doesn't, these are metaphors, these. So the idea is, how do you know that your heart's closing? Because you can feel it. The more that you become sensitive to your body's responses and reactions, the more you know whether you're being either consciously or unconsciously attacked. I'm going to call it attacked, for want of a better word. And then, what I do is I can feel it close, and I step back, breathe, and I say, what is this now? What instinct in me is being threatened, right? And then I have to work it out. Todd, it's faulty logic and misdirected instinct. That's the main cause of all the problems on the planet. I can see it as easy as anything. But if it's faulty logic, where are we going to get the logic that will rebalance this? The idea is the logic's not going to come from our ego mind. It's going to come from our soul. And if we're not in touch with our soul, we can't be given the information that we need. That may be completely or against reason. It may be totally to the head illogical. But if it feels like turn left now and the head's screaming, no, don't, turn right because you may be in danger. It's about trusting this flow that is driving us from the heart of hearts, which is the soul. This is quite heavy stuff tonight, but I think it's important that the most important thing is, how do we physically get in touch with the 0 point, which to me represents an opening of the heart and connection with the source of all, the source of unconditional love, which spells soul. Over to you, old chap. It's like a game of tennis, this.
I'm looking at, anyone has any questions, by the way. I've got YouTube and my page up on Facebook. Not that we usually do that, but they might have a question for you. Back to what you were saying, the body, right? I don't know either. I know my body's been speaking to me. And it's so weird because, all the different experiences that I've had, that other people have, dimensionally, lucid dreams, just life experiences, divine episodes, shared divine episodes with Morgan, my body's screaming. My body's been talking to me. My body was yelling at me last week. I was extremely dehydrated most of the week. I had some physical issues that were really energetic occurrences within my body that were having a physical ramifications that had messages for me. Yeah, I think the body's coming online now. You know, it's the most human part of us. And the paradoxical thing about it is that it's also no different than, in my opinion, than our higher self, than our multidimensional aspect, than any part of our non-physical or etherical bodies. The body is actually the golden child. It's the exception to the rule. It is actually containing dense physical matter, but also the same God substance that makes up all of our non-physical and etherical bodies, if you will. So this is an extraordinary thing. My body's like you. My body, you said, what do we do? To me, you do what you're doing. Your body said, change your diet. Here's what you eat. My body's leading me the same way. It's saying, do this, do that. Don't do this, don't do that. My biggest thing is not going into self-judgment and beating myself up if I do something that maybe my body doesn't want, or if it's just an old pattern of behavior that I've judged, or whatever the case is. But to keep myself, spiritually healthy means I have to have self-respect, self-honesty, self-responsibility, and continue to cut myself some slack. Everything's changed now. It's not like, back in the old days, I used to work 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, and I'd sleep 14 hours on Sunday. Part of me was running on a program that had to prove to the world that I was the hardest working man in the world.
Yeah.
Now I spend a lot of energy. I took 3 or 4 days off with this weekend and Thursday and Friday, but was back on it yesterday. But I mean, I'm telling you, I expend a lot of energy, and I'm only saying this as an example. That's not about me. It takes energy in this quantum environment. It takes thoughts are energy. Aligning yourself is energy. It's just different. It's not like you get on a treadmill and you burn 1,000 calories, but in a quantum or a non-physical and etheric sense, and it's got to affect our atomic and our molecular and our cellular. You're burning cosmic calories all the time, and I'm having a higher level of respect for myself, because I can look at the body of work and go, you know what? You can't argue with that. You can't argue with all the effort that you have put out. And I really believe that we're in a time in 2020 when all the effort that we put out before and all the effort that we're putting out now is being reciprocated very quickly and almost in a dramatic way. It's a little bit mind-boggling to the human, but it's also a little bit challenging because we never had it this good before. And I know there's COVID and there's quarantine and there's masks and there's all this stuff going on, but the truth is it's the most incredible, perfect orchestration that we all divinely put together to put us in the best possible potentiality in terms of our expansion and in terms of the opportunity that we came here for, that we have right now in this moment.
Yep. See, I've been brought up in the school of hard knocks, right, and learned about this stuff. And what they say is, for the benefit of, understanding, they talk about the illness, the disease, the situations that cause the heart to close down and to make us cut off from the sunlight of the spirit. So they say, here are some of the things to look out for if you're emotionally disturbed and your body feels tense. Resentment is the #1 offender. Resentment. Anger, self-pity, judgment, gossiping. So they give you a whole list of things that will close your heart down, right? Because they're basically judgments, And so, in the ancient Kabbalah or Kabbalah, the Kabbalists believe, they call this thing, which is basically the ego. So there's two aspects of ego. There's pride or fear. You know, if anyone's into transactional analysis, they bring the same sort of system in. But in Kabbalistic thinking, they call it the opponent. They call it the opponent, right? And it's the opponent that causes you to close down and form this protective shield that spirit can't come through, you see. So it's about knowing yourself at depth, knowing the things that trigger you, and then accepting it and allowing spirit to come in and clear the pathway. And I feel that's what's happening now is the soul is powering in under this great shift and this astronomical, astrological alignments, right? And we can't get away with it, Todd. We've almost got to say, come on, big boy or big girl, have me now, I'm all yours. Do with me what you will. And in that surrender, the body opens up, the tension goes, and spirit flows in. It flows in from the universe, through the right brain, through the chakras, through the meridians, through the nadis, and into the physical body, through the muscles, through the connective tissue, through the cells, into the bone marrow itself. That's the way it goes, by getting out of the way, Todd. And how do you get out of the way? You basically have to go to the heart and sense the heart and say, please show me what to do, because I've got no effing idea whatsoever, right? And once again, to go back what we started on, to go back and to have trust and faith in your internal moral compass, or if you like, your intuitive moral code, call it what you like. It's a navigation system, right, that we can tap into, because it's cosmic, it's universal energy coming to help us. And it's been prophesied this for a long, long time. I think that's where we're up to at the moment. Good God.
You know, this is a really good subject. You hit a good one. And that is, how do you identify what triggers you? How do you identify what pisses you off? You know, sounds really easy, doesn't it? Doesn't it? I mean, it sounds really easy, but we're creating a space. We're in a space. We're moving into a space, however you want to put it, where there is no blame. There is no fault. There is no reason for forgiveness. There's no word such as forgiveness. Like there's no word such as healing. So as we're making this transition, I would like to know, I think it would be beneficial for other people to know. I don't know if we'll come up with the answer here. Everybody's welcome to put their 10 cents in or whatever, but you know, how do you know what triggers you? I mean, if we really knew what triggered us, wouldn't we just go, oh, I just got triggered, thank you very much? But we don't. We say, hey, why did you do that? Hey, area in your head, why did he say that? Why did that person, you know, I mean, why did the government do that? And whatever. Like, do we really not understand what triggers us? Obviously, we need some work because we react, and we all do, every one of us, okay? We're having all these little deaths, all these parts of us, all these identities and egos are dropping away, and it's a bitch, you know? It is. It is an MFER. It is a bitch. And we're doing it, and we're making it happen, and we've done a great job, but let's get real. This is all happening at the gut level. The human is the hero. The human is the horse, man. The human is the thoroughbred. The human is the mule. You know, the human's doing the work. And what does that mean? That means we got to eat some humble pie. We've got to stop bullshitting ourselves and say, hey, you know what? That triggers me. That person triggers me. And that's not their problem. If I choose to not participate or engage that energy, then so be it. But if I choose not to engage that energy and say, fuck you, you know, I've not fixed anything. I've not brought myself into further alignment. And as we all want to serve the collective, I have not served the collective. I have continued to perpetuate the old programming and conditioning that's been running the show. We're transforming this, which means that we have to change our behavior, change something, okay? Do something differently. And I think for me, as I talk to myself, why am I going to bullshit myself? Every moment I spend thinking about somebody else what they did to me, what they said to me, what happened to me, how they violated me. Every time I complain, I'm in victim consciousness. Every single time I make a complaint, I'm in victim consciousness. And I'm starting to get my arms around this. And it's not easy. It's not. And I've been telling Morgan this since the middle of May. I don't know what's going on with me. I feel like this past 3 or 4 days, we just had a big shift, and we as a couple and as individuals went through another period. We elevated again. We've gotten stronger. We've expanded, but the game doesn't change. And what I've been telling her for the last 2.5 months is, I don't know what's happening with me, but I know I have to be alone parts of the day. It could be 5 minutes, it could be an hour, it could be 5 hours, whatever. I have to, it's not even about thinking about and figuring stuff out. You brought up logic a while ago, or rationale. It's not like that. It's like, what am I feeling? What's happening to me? Who am I? All those old things coming up. And what I'm finding is a lot like the work that she does with the zero pointing. It takes these toe-to-toe, brutal, honest conversations with me and the universe, which is, hey, why are you ragging on that person? Why are you thinking that way? Why are you caught up in police brutality videos? Why are you, why are you doing this? Because when you do this, this, you are contributing that energetic to the collective. Do you want to perpetuate the old, or do you want to transform? I want to transform. And what I'm realizing now, the transformation isn't the bells and whistles and the lightning bolts that you catch with your bare hands, while you blow smoke rings out your ass because you're Hercules. It's not like that. The transformation occurs when you have the nitty gritty. And I think we don't have as much nitty gritty as we used to have. We've made a lot of progress, and if we keep pushing, I think we're going to see some gold a lot quicker than any of us ever thought.
I agree, totally. And the thing is, it's a bit like a refinement process, or these are just the words it's the alchemist's sort of, the philosopher's stone, the alchemist's cauldron or crucible. It's almost like the heat is burning off these final impurities till we're left with pure fine gold. I see all these things in my mind, but the thing about it is, it's, Todd, I don't want to delude anybody or be deluded myself anymore. And I've done that all of my life, and I pray, I just pray, or I say, or I have a conversation with my intuition, and I say, look, I can sense that I've got no patience. Please help me with it. Wrong thing to ask, because then the next day you find you're in the biggest queues that you've ever been in, right? It's full of bloody idiots in front of you. This is just an example. I'm using these words. It's full of idiots who are taking ages and chatting to the girl who's doing all the shopping stuff. And you can feel this burning in you. You can feel all this rage of impatience. That's because you asked to be helped. Because before serenity must come emotional turmoil. So what have we got to do is, we've got to, our heart wants to close down and be filled with rage and justification, because is everybody in this world a bleeding idiot? And all it means is, open your heart, understand it, and shine the light of love to all these people. And that will help you with your impatience, you horrible bastard. And it's that, Todd, it's feel all these things, because I honestly believe that anger is nothing more than blocked love. It's blocked love. It represents, right, an inability at some point in us to let go of something that we're afraid to face, like a little tiny frightened child, Yeah. And this is about facing ourselves full on. I believe that, and I'm one of these where I thought that I had it made, and I've got everything sorted now and everything. And then whap, one comes out of the blue, almost as if to say, don't get too cocky, big boy, because there's more
that's
stuff.
Exactly right.
There's more stuff coming up here.
That's what I mean. Like, we just went through this period, and I'll be, I'm always pretty open, right? She was telling me 8 weeks ago, or 10 weeks ago, are you avoiding me? We were still in Florida, and I would go in the RV and do the shows and, hang out by myself. And that's when this all started. And I said, no, I'm not. You know, and I gave you the explanation earlier. But a couple, 2, 3 days ago, I realized that I was back. She said, you're back. And I said, oh, yeah, you know what? What was that? Right. But what I'm trying to say to your point is even though I'm back and I'm expanded, and I'm just using me as an example, I'm not, I'm not trying to like, build any type of, whatever. But the first thing I know is it's not over. It's going to come right back. And I guess this is where I've been really putting my feet to the fire on a personal level, is holding myself accountable for my thoughts, because this is not bullshit. This is not bullshit. And this is why I kind of went out of this thing from the last time we talked in regard to where I was at with Trump and with Q and with white hats in the government and with these tribunals and people being brought to justice and all of these things that I won't bring up because everybody knows about. But here's the thing. This earth realm, and this is my humble opinion, is not going to transform by any other method than a change in consciousness. And the change in consciousness doesn't happen when you go out and have rallies and protests and march and boycott, this, and I'm not knocking that, but I'm just saying it's not going to work. The change in consciousness comes from an individual, and that's the only place it comes from. And if you're lucky enough and blessed enough and have earned the opportunity to be in a relationship, then that brings some enhancements, and it also brings some greater challenges because you don't get one without the other. And then if you take it further to where you have an organization or a team or a group, then again it expands, and the exponential opportunities are all over the place. But again, with it comes more responsibility, more challenges, and again, what does this all lead to? It all leads to transforming consciousness. Consciousness is transformed on an individual basis, mano a mano, between you and the universe, and that's it. You can have all the conversations you want. You can lecture, you can attend lectures, you can write, you can read, you can do whatever you want. But the bottom line is you can't bullshit the universe, and the universe ain't going to bullshit you. And this is, look, we're all going to be safe. We always have been, we always will be. But we're here for a reason. We're here to expand consciousness. We only get one chance to do it right the first time. And every time we do one of these incarnations, it's the first time. So let's make the best of it. And the best of it isn't the bells and the whistles and the divine episodes and the channelings and the transmissions. The bells and the meat and potatoes of it all is this boots on the ground work. Like zero pointing, however you do it. These honest discussions with yourself where you take ownership and you stop pointing the finger because there's not one situation in this world where that is right. It's not. It's separation, period.
I agree. Todd, we're on the right path. I feel it. It's all about focusing on feelings first, not thoughts, and how am I, the Irish say, how are you feeling in yourself, right? Yeah. And that means a lot to me. And the other thing is, if you want to change the world, change yourself. And I'm going to refine that slightly, because if you want to change the world, get out of the way of yourself and allow yourself to be changed by something much more powerful than you. So there's surrender, because the other ones suggest that we have to think our way in a certain way. I feel there's a complete difference between sentimentality and actually inspiration. I think they come from different places. Sentimentality, and that's making up feelings in your head, and that's what I was like for a long time. My heart was so closed. I didn't really have any feelings of my own, right? So I had to conjure them up, so I could almost like fit in. So sentire, as you know, there's me lecture. Sentire means to feel, and mental means thinking, you see. So these are real feelings that are coming through now. I was devoid of real feelings, but I feel that as we open up more and more, we might need to cry our leg off for 6 months and be honest about it. If there's something playing on your mind, get it off your chest, rip your heart open, rip your chest open, and allow all this to flood out, and share it with somebody who understands, but who won't jump in to tell you what to do. Because I feel that's what I wanted all my life. Please tell me how to live my life. Tell me what to do next so I can have a happy life. So you follow their instructions, it goes wrong. Who do you blame? You blame them because you're not willing to take responsibility for yourself. Right. Todd, I am 100% now responsible for my thinking, my feeling, and the actions and choices that I make. 100% responsibility. That's pure, true freedom. That's freedom. And that brings with it a certain simplicity, right? Because I've been so complex and complicated in my thinking. It's all become very simple now. Yes, no, right, left, up, down, make a choice, carry on, go forward. It's the beautiful, tiny, simple things that life's all made up of. The tiny, small things. They're the important things, not the bloody great big massive things. I want to be a leader of men and women and guide them to, that's all bollocks now as far as I'm concerned. But I thought like that for a long time, like the second coming himself, touch me and you will be healed. Touch me and you'll be infected.
When they wrote those sacred texts, were they talking about you or me? I can't remember.
I've no idea, because that's just another feeling, if you can get it past your sacral chakra and allow it to go up and have an orgasmatronic thing that goes through your crown chakra, you've made it. When all your chakras are resonating at the right frequency, you don't need to ingest or take anything from the outside at all. You don't need to take thoughts in, sights, visions, because it's all an interior thing. That's the way I see it. And that's what Kundalini, I call it Kundalini. That's Kundalini rising, but you've got to get out of the way. Otherwise it'll burn.
It's the first show of the week, and we got 20 shows to do, plus probably a couple of spontaneous ones. And I don't want to go there yet. It's way too early for me to add to that. So I'm going to shift gears.
All right.
I'm going to shift gears and go back to something you said earlier. My good friend, Cody McAllister, he's in the YouTube room. So he made a comment, and I'm not throwing rocks at Cody. I have all the respect in the world for him, but this is a great lead in for what we're talking about and what we're dealing with, to de-emphasize the good narrative. We give too much power away to the good narrative, to the savior-based programming. It's bullshit, okay? Just like the other side of it, the bad narrative, okay, or whatever you want to call it. So he says, let's see here. He said, I admit it was great to see the Freedom Rally in Berlin, 1.3 million people. Now, my point is, there wasn't 1.3 million people there. Okay, now I saw various accounts because I thought it was very extraordinary, but by what I read, and anyone can go look this up. I mean, I wasn't looking on conventional sites. I was actually looking on one site where the originators had put the information out. They were hoping for several 100,000 people, and they probably got like 20 to 40,000 people. Okay, and that's great. That's fantastic. But what I'm trying to say, there's false narratives being put out there by the pros and the cons, by the fors and the against, by the good guys and the bad guys. This is where I'm going back to the consciousness transformation occurring with the individual. All of these things out there, no matter how grotesque, horrific, beautiful, successful, whatever, no matter what they are playing out there, they are at the end of the day going to be a distraction, okay? Because they are distorted. And the only thing that's not distorted, actually none of it's distorted, but the only place to have the 2020 vision, to restore the 2020 vision or bring it into the field is as we know, is through ourselves. But what does that mean? How do you do that? Oh, let's go within. They've been talking about it for 2,000 years, and then there's all these modalities, and there's, go through this, I'm going to give you this that they gave me, and then I'm going to give it to you, and now you're cured. I talked to somebody last week, and I'm like, what do you do when you get triggered now? that you've received all this information and you've got this process and modality. Oh, I don't get triggered anymore. Well, this is what you were saying earlier. The minute you tell the universe something like that, guess what's going to happen? But I guess what I'm saying is, what I'm starting to understand, and I have the luxury of being married more, it is that whether it's the 0 point process or whether it's another type of process, what I'm trying to say, the process that works, the processes that serve us are the ones where we don't run and hide anymore. Where we say, hey, you know what? I did these things. I was a drug addict. I did some crazy stuff, okay? And I had to wake up every morning and go, oh my God, what did you do last night? Really? And then just start walking out the door and getting my shift back together, okay, on a daily basis. These are conversations that I had to have with myself to gain back my self-respect, to realize that I was not a piece of shit, okay? To realize that I was a whole and wholly complete soul. And I feel that there are many, many people on the face of this earth that have busted their ass, and that it is Judgment Day, because the universe has come down and said, I'm backing you up now. And the only thing that can pull us back in are all of these narratives out there, whether it be a relationship with another person, a job, a country, religious, political, whatever. The only thing that can pull us away from it is that old shit, okay? There's a flip side to what's happening here, and I think this is going to be the big surprise for us all, and that is how much power we actually have. You know?
Yep.
And I don't think we're going to be afraid of it. I think we're just going to be like, holy crap, you know, like, what do we do with this? Like, do you realize how sacred and profound and deep and ancient we are, and the power that we have? You know, our multidimensionality is coming on full blown, I believe, this year. So it may be the last day of the year, but I believe it's going to. We have no idea. Nobody does. Not Trump, not anybody has any fucking idea where this thing's going. But I can tell you, I believe it's going to be huge.
I feel it building. And as for the event, 21st of the 12th, 2020, that's been mooted. But, you know, we've gone through loads of different dates, haven't we? And I'm not really interested in getting into that, because my philosophy these days is, you've got today, Joe. Make the best of it. It doesn't matter how the planets are affecting you, as long as you let go, find the joy of living today as best as you can. And when you wake up in the morning, do the same thing again. You know, I hate this phrase, but it makes sense. Be the best that you can be on any single day with all the resources at your disposal. And sometimes you might wake up feeling shit. Just try and do the best you can. Give yourself a break. If you're feeling down, look after yourself. And if you've got energy, try and do something that's exciting and enjoyable, because the more you radiate excitement and enjoyableness, right? That's a word I've just made up. Right, the more people will benefit from that, because you're spreading a little bit of sunshine, and not you're like being a miserable bastard that you used to be all the time, full of pessimism, full of doom, full of gloom. You know, that's who I am today. I seem to be able now to change my gestalt and spread a little chuckle. That doesn't always go. Well, doesn't always go down too well. But hey, you can't win them all, mate. You know.
But you know, if I had to say the two things, because I went off on the nitty gritty, the doing the work, what I used to call in the streets the brutal honesty of the soul. You know, where did my family go? Where did my job go? Where did this go? Where did that go? Where did my freedom go when I got thrown in jail? Whatever the case is, it got to the point where it was like, hey, wait, man, this is all your deal. And even if it wasn't, even if somebody went out of their way and effed you, okay, or whatever, from this moment of awareness, circumstances and consequences are the same damn thing. If I'm going to sit here and get stuck on the story, oh, they did that to me, or what, It's not about that. It's about right now. Like, what are you going to do right now?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so yesterday you had a hiccup. Yesterday you hit a speed bump and went off the road and blew a tire, cosmically speaking, and you came out of alignment. It's gone. So what are we going to do now? And what are we going to do going forward? So that's one. The other one is the laughter. Last night, it was really funny. We've been we have these two kitties, right, that have been hanging around the house. So we're helping them. We had to put them in a cage, and Morgan was feeding them last night, and we're like, what are we going to do? So we're figuring that out. So it was kind of a long, extended, cool night at the end of a long period of time that there'd been a lot of transformation stuff. So we lay down in bed. We lay down in bed, and we always put our hands together. And I had laid down twice. I said, I'm going to sleep. I got to go to sleep. And I went lay down in bed without her because she's playing with the cat. And I kept getting all these golden beans coming in, man. They're like, hey, we need to talk to you, and da-da-da-da. And then the second time, I went down. I said, hey, something's going on. She's like, I know, I'll be there in a minute, but she didn't come. I went back upstairs. I swear to God, her higher self put her hand in my hand. She goes, let's do this together. And I started like just talking out loud, like I was just channeling, right? So then I went and got her again. I was like, you got to hear that. You got to hear this. Okay, you got to get up here. So I put her hands together. I said, I got to tell you what I said, what I was told. So I said 4 or 5 things, like sentences, and summed it up. And she started snoring. She started going like that. And it was all in fun. There was no disrespect. It's not nothing like that. It was all in fun. And then she just started laughing. And then I just started cracking up. And then we just started cutting up like little kids. This is what I'm talking about. This whole thing about taking ourselves so seriously, the condemnation and the judgment, the finger pointing, and to be like little kids. We were like little kids last night. And that is, how do you train somebody to do that? You don't. You just stick a pin in their ass, let the air out, and chill the F out, like, don't take it so seriously. We love our work. We're all committed. We all work hard. We all want to do great, but take a breath, and I think that's what you bring to the table. And that's why there's 175 people on these platforms watching this show, to be honest with you. Because that's what
I know we're coming to time now, but breath is so important because breath is so intimately and intricately connected to the way that our heart works.
Yeah.
And it's our breathing and the way we breathe and the quality of our breath that will either close down our hearts or open them.
Yeah.
And so a light-hearted, loving breath keeps the heart open. And the way the heart works determines the way the brain waves work, determines the choices we make, because this is where all the power comes through. It doesn't come from us, it comes through us. And that to me is the soul expressing itself in who it truly is, authentically and essentially, where the soul's purpose comes from.
Yeah.
And what is my soul's purpose is the joy of living. Joie de vivre, mate, because I spent so many years being miserable. Every day I wanted to wake up and be dead, right? And be dead, and I don't anymore. I get up sometimes and think, oh God, here we go again. But I've been given tools now to turn that round, get out of that and try and do something positive and constructive for myself. Because if I'm feeling all right, then I can guarantee that I'll be okay with most people around me. End of story, mate. It's bloody simple, right? But to get to it, you have to go through a complicated process of letting go of yourself. And that's the most difficult thing in the world. But it can be the easiest thing because it's not the letting go that's the problem. It's the keeping hold of that causes all the pain. There we are. That was a wise thing I've just said there.
I like that. And it's very true, I mean, I have a special treat for everybody. I know you won't mind. This is what I'm talking about, though. Lighten up. You know what I mean? Lighten up, right? I mean, this speaks volumes to me. And I know I'm being funny, but I'm being serious.
Todd, when I did that, when I did that. That's called the Great North Run. It's the biggest half marathon in the world. So around 13.1 miles and a bit more like that. And as I was running through, I always wave to the crowd because I am a showman. I love all that. It makes me happy. But the kids and the people, they just laugh their heads off. It makes them happy, mate. And temporarily, when you're happy, you forget yourself. And I think in that forgetting yourself, even for a moment, miracles can happen and transformation takes place, you know, until our head gets put back on and all the shit comes back to block our hearts off again. That's what I've learned about me, you know, is just take your head off, metaphorically decapitate yourself, kick it out of the way, and just try and live in the moment, just like radiating this funniness, this joy, this, you know. There we are, mate. I feel like the in nomine Patris et Filio et Spiritus Tui Sancti. Bless you all. I'll probably get discommunicated or excommunicated or something for that.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever listened to Cheech and Chong back in the early 70s, but that reminds me of the one where the blind man goes to see the Pope, or the Pope's blind, and it's only for adults, only the really psychotic ones. You just said something though. Yeah, with the whole, you know, because one of the things that happened to me on the streets was, of course, I'd gone through all these traumas, and I had created a lot of chaos and a lot of things, and of course it was all, you know, perfect by design. So many people had the same type of story, but I'm talking about what's going on in the head here, where the head is meeting the heart, and the mind, body, soul thing is happening, which is really what I'm getting at with what we talked about today. But so I had a very successful corporate career, and you know, and that was a big part of my substantiation to myself in these universe versus universe discussions. And so I got to the point where I realized that I was not, you know, because I was a national director with, you know, such and such company, you know, biggest in the world or whatever. I mean, it didn't mean anything. It wasn't me. And that was very hard to let go of. But it was harder to let go of the crazy stuff that I did, the stuff that wasn't even me. When you do something and it's not even you doing it because you're on a drug, or because of whatever psychosis or whatever neurosis or whatever the case is that's affected you or whatever, okay? But I started to realize, well, wait a minute, if on this end of the spectrum I was a total deadbeat asshole, whatever the case is, and on this I was extremely successful and I had prestige and everything and everybody looked up to me, but I was neither one of them. I wasn't either one of them. And that made it easier for me to let go of all the things that I thought of myself that were in the plus side, you know. It made it a lot easier to do that. And that was a harder death for me. Those things were much harder to let go of, obviously, because I didn't want to lose it. I didn't. And of course, we've gone on and on. All of us have gone on and evolved, and we're having all these things that we're letting go of. But, you know, surrender, I was told last week, I did a little piece on it. You know, there's a difference between surrendering and giving up. When you surrender, you immediately receive abundance. When you give up, you give away power. You know, that's two different things. So, you know, I think we're doing a great job. I think we're doing a fantastic job. I think we're not getting any press. We're not even getting any press in the, I'm just going to say it, in the more established, bigger light worker circle venues, because it's still the dog and pony show. And I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just sitting here talking about we're in a different environment than we were in 2019. Now's the time to get down to the nitty gritty. It's not that bad. We all have dirt between our fingernails. You know, we all put our socks on the same way. And this is what, when you get right, in my opinion, when you get right down to it, this is what the gods and the goddesses are doing. We are in the living flesh, and we are going to kick ass and take names and expand the experience of Mother Universe through our own efforts, and simultaneously do it for ourselves. It's not about we've got to do this and we need to do that. It's about how far do you want to take it. because we're not going to get this chance back again. We'll have other incarnations, but we're not going to have this one. You know, that's why I'm here.
I agree, mate. And to go along with surrender to win, and it goes against the grain, it goes against logic, it goes against reason. But once you let go, in my experience, everything floods in. The soul comes in to take over and to really enjoy the show. And the other little phrase that I'm going to use for the rest of my life is, and applying it to myself, if anybody wants to take it, that's okay. But once a tool, always a tool.
I can't touch that one. I can't touch that one either, because oh God, this is too early in the week for me to be going into these adult-esque type of innuendos and comments and double entendres. But you know, I don't. One thing I will say, I'm gonna teeter on the edge here. Something's happening, man, and I'm seeing real evidence of this transformation of the carbon body to the light body, to include the reemergence of certain tools. Yeah. You know what I mean? And seriously, it's a part of joke, but it's part real. And something's coming online. And I guess going back to what you just said, you know, then I'll let you end it. But this giving up, this letting go, okay? And Morgan and I talk about this. Every time we let go, whatever it is that we're letting go of comes back, and it's morphed into something, you know what I mean? There's been like a cosmic steroid effect. So that's very true. Yeah.
But I think that's when that happens, and I know exactly what you're talking about, is it's the power that's basically been pushed down for eons of time, right? And now it's reasserting itself. Yeah. And when that power you're talking about comes in, unless you know how to handle it, then it can blow your head off, you know. Yes, and this is why, in order for that power to come in, call it Kundalini, call it creative energy, call it sacral sexual energy, call it what you like. That is the power of creativity of the universe. And that's the way it comes in. And in order to handle it, you've got to surrender and open your heart and let it be transformed there. And then it will feed your head. Because if you leave your heart out of this, it will drive you absolutely and utterly insane. And that's the why there's a responsibility with things like Kundalini yoga and all that, you know. If you open this stuff up before you can handle it, then it can drive you absolutely insane. Yeah,
you better be careful.
That's what drink and drugs and everything else do. Stuff that you ingest can open and disinhibit these centers and drive people mad. And how do I know? Because I've gone through that process. Yeah. And fortunately, Todd, I've been able to be shown from within how to navigate through these energies that are open up in different parts of my body, you know. And so I do understand what I'm talking about. I might make light of it, but it's a really, really bloody serious subject sometimes.
Oh, I know it is. And if you don't get a handle on it, you might pull it off.
Well, absolutely. Right. Sometimes, you know, people can take you the wrong way. Have you ever been taken the wrong way, Todd? And on that note, I'm going to leave it.
We got, we'll see you in 2.5 weeks for a tune-up mid-August. Yeah. And we got Sally Malong, MELONG, astrologer. We'll be here in 12 minutes. And I believe she's going to do, I think, a natal chart on me. And as a demonstration for everybody, because I don't know what the hell it is. But anyway, very cool.
All right, mate. Well, welcome back. Lovely to see you. I've missed you like mad. I always do. And hopefully see you soon. And behave yourself.
Well, I'll see you. I have the schedule later in the month. You take care. Tell your wife I say hello, and I don't know how the hell she does it. Can you tell her that?